But anyway, let's get to the NBA, because as you guys know, the NBA postponed games today, and it was precipitated by the players from the Milwaukee Bucks that decided that they were going to protest. And, you know, this kind of started last night with Doc Rivers. I don't know if you watched the games, but if you watched the games last night, after the Clippers and Mavs, Doc Rivers, you know, was talking on it. You know, I think part of the question came from, if you listen to Paul George, you know, he had a good game, and they asked him about, you know, what helped him to come out of, you know, what helped him to have a good game. He said, you know, I was in a dark place, right? And, you know, a lot of my teammates spoke to me. We had conversations, and they really helped me come out of, come out of my dark place. And a lot of that, it sounded like Doc Rivers, through conversations with Paul George, was attributing it to, you know, what's going on in the country and him being in the bubble. You know, because of course there, you know, they can't, you know, they're not having contact, they're not having physical contact with their family members and in their communities, and, you know, able to do things like that. Obviously, I'm not there, so I don't know what kind of toll it will take on a person and a player mentally, but obviously it did something with Paul George. Right, so him and Doc Rivers, I guess, had conversations, and it precipitated Doc Rivers to say this in the post-game press conference. Take a listen.
Just watching the Republican convention, and they're spewing this fear, right? Like, all you hear is Donald Trump and all of them talking about fear. We're the ones getting killed. We're the ones getting shot. We're the ones that were denied to live in certain communities. We've been hung, we've been shot, and all you do is keep hearing about fear. It's amazing why we keep loving this country, and this country does not love us back. And it's really so sad. Like, I should just be a coach. And it's so often reminded of my color. You know, it's just really sad. We got to do better. But we got to demand better. Like, we got, you know, it's funny. We protest, and they send riot guards, right? They send people in riot outfits. They go to Michigan with guns, and they're spitting on cops, and nothing happens. The training has to change in the police force. The unions have to be taken down in the police force. My dad was a cop. I believe in good cops. We're not trying to defund the police and take all their money away. We're trying to get them to protect us, just like they protect everybody else. I didn't want to talk about it before the game because it's so hard. Like, just keep watching it. That video, if you watch that video, you don't need to be black to be outraged. You need to be American and outraged. And how dare the Republicans talk about fear? We're the ones that need to be scared. We're the ones having to talk to every black child. What white father has to give his son a talk about being careful if you get pulled over? It's just ridiculous. And it just keeps going. There's no charges. Breonna Taylor, no charges, nothing. All we're asking is you live up to the Constitution. That's all we're asking for everybody, for everyone. Thank you.
And that was Doc Rivers, ladies and gentlemen, who let me go ahead and there we go, get that stopped. That was Doc Rivers. And I was watching it live, and I was, and it, made me emotional watching it live. Made me emotional. Obviously, today the Milwaukee Bucks decided that they were not going to play. And they decided to protest the game, and it led to the NBA suspending games for tonight. And I don't know what the results are from the meeting that the players were going to have, but the last that I've seen, at least one player said to ESPN that, there's a chance that, the season, that they may just do away with the season. A statement by the NBA said the NBA, the National Basketball Players Association, today announced that in light of the Milwaukee Bucks decision not to take the floor today for Game 5, and I would like to say the Milwaukee Bucks players' decision not to take the floor today for Game 5 against the Orlando Magic. Today's 3 games, the Bucks versus the Magic, Houston Rockets versus Oklahoma City, and the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Portland Trailblazers have been postponed. Game 5 of each series will be rescheduled. What do you got? Justin, I'll start with you, man. What do you think?
One word, respect. That's it. Respect. Even WNBA, they postponed their games today too, and some baseball games.
Some baseball games, yep. Some baseball games postponed their games as well.
Like Dodgers, they postponed them. Respect. It wouldn't be right to, in my opinion, it wouldn't be right to play through all that. And I would not blame any of the players if they just want to say enough is enough and it's a wrap for the season. That's it.
Gamma, what do you think, man? You do you think it's going to be a wrap for the season? It's going to be over? I mean, what should be the next steps?
I don't. These players and these guys, there are a lot of factions a lot of things that go behind some of these players' decisions, and the NBA ratings were down 45% anyway, right? So I know people about conspiracy, blah, blah, but I don't trust anything this guy said, because when Kyrie Irving said we shouldn't play in light of all the things that were happening, literally you had players who were so against it. You had basically TV personalities like idiotic Shannon Sharp and his clown Skip Bayless who were like, demonizing him for saying that we shouldn't play in light of all the things that are happening. And then the NBA comes back with the bubble. Ratings are down 45%. The networks are like, all right, we could probably put something else that's better than what you guys are putting out, because if the ratings are down here, they're probably losing money, probably not breaking even. And that's not to say that certain players didn't feel like boycotting, but I just feel like, I follow the Malcolm X line of thinking. I don't take any celebrities or athletes as anybody to push social change. But look, if they stop it, good for them, I guess, or whatever. Right now, it's the right time to be, everybody. It's the right time to have that sentiment, right? You're not rocking the boat. No one's gonna not support you. And in my conspiratorial world, in my mind, I thought about the CBA contract, and I was wondering how it was written, because again, if they didn't play this season, the networks could have came back and said, we want to renege on the CBA. And make them go back drawing board and they lose the money, or they'll probably come back to less favorable terms for the players. You come back now, the season's been partially played. Maybe there's some force majeure that says, all right, in light of whatever thing is happening, if it's canceled, maybe the CBA is not canceled. Then maybe if it's, for whatever extreme season versus it's just not played. But even though it was canceled before, so I got to think it out. I just, whenever players like this, they do stuff like this. Again, we've seen with the China situation that, when money is involved, they don't talk. They'll be quiet. Again, this is not. If the NBA is already losing, the network's losing 45%. I guess just altogether this year was in an issue. I don't want to curse. It was in an itter anyway. But whatever. And that's not saying these guys don't have real emotions. I'm not saying that, but I just don't trust how the NBA or any sports league moves when it comes to social issues. That's just me.
Well, the Los Angeles Lakers, according to Yahoo Sports, I think to Gregory Castillo for throwing this into the chat, said the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers have both voted to end the NBA playoffs in a meeting among players remaining in the bubble. The meeting took place after Wednesday's games were postponed amid player protest of the police shooting of 29-year-old black man Jacob Blake. Haynes reports that the Lakers and Clippers players left the meeting after casting their votes. The Athletics' Shams Charania, however you say his name, reports that every team besides the Lakers and Clippers voted to keep playing. The Athletic's David Aldridge reports that the meeting ended ugly and that the union will have representation at a meeting with the NBA ownership on Thursday. Adrian Wojnarowski reports that Wednesday's player votes were not final and that discussions will continue through Thursday. So that is, listen, those are
so
two
now
teams.
LeBron is the leader of this now?
Those are, well, I mean, I don't know.
Because LeBron, he
they
came
said
out,
the
now he
Lakers and
came
the
out.
Clippers.
It was right after the first game, the Bucks and the Magic was canceled. LeBron immediately tweets out, "I can't take this issue." It's like, dogs, come on. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have people who are genuine about this. Like, people could kill Kyrie Irving, but he was like, "Yo, dogs, like, why are we playing?" And people are like, "Oh, he's not gonna play." But the Nets did play in the bubble, so I mean, whatever.
But he wasn't playing.
Well, he wasn't playing, but still, I mean, his team was gonna. It's like he was saying, "Don't do it," and then people kill him for it. So and then LeBron James, one of the people like, "Oh, we got to do this, we got to do this," and then it's like, wait, what? One more thing. All right, so George Floyd, and then the guy in Georgia. Why I can't remember his name. The one who
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery. Thank you. Sorry about that. Rest in peace. That happened, and it's not to say that this one is not heinous or whatever, but it's like, all right, it was, you have these situations that are happening. You know what I mean? It's like one just throwing you over. You know what I mean? I feel sick of my son because it's like, all right, you guys don't really come out when you guys kind of pick and choose. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? The whole China still thing throws me off. And I understand people say, oh, China's not a member. But still, if there's something that is happening that you feel, you should be able to voice your opinion. For the fact they didn't come out with that. And then NBA ratings are down and it just seems like a wash anyway. And LeBron James, to me, because when I saw him put out that tweet, I was like, this guy's a piece of F, because you literally, the NBA then canceled all the games and you're like, oh, I can't take this anymore. And it's like, you want to just be on the forefront of like what could be seen as a new movement where you're not a leader of this. It's like, come on, bro. So, I just feel I'm skeptical. I'm cynical, about some of these players and their motivations, man, about behind their so-called social stances. It's just.
I mean,
Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
Listen, I felt like they should have shut it down with the pandemic going on, but with all this stuff, with the George Floyd, with all the protests, now with Jacob, with the shooting now, like for instance, forget about LeBron, Paul George. Let's go back to him. I'm not black, but I'm not a black man, but has Paul George? Let's say the Clippers win a championship. Mm-hmm. I can't feel. Has Paul George holding a trophy up? What are you celebrating for when you're in a year of chaos, a year of, depression, a year of sadness, anger, turmoil? What is, I can't see that vision. So I say cancel it. I say they should just shut it down.
I mean, Freezy, what do you think, man? You there? Oh, there you go. I wasn't sure if you was frozen or not. You were looking still. I wasn't sure if you were frozen or not.
Well, I am Uncle Freezy. In all seriousness, man, I was listening to what the three guys had to say, and also reading the things in the chat. And shout out to the people in the chat for really being open and honest about how they feel about this issue. You know what I'm saying? Because pushing dialogue is how we learn to get better at stuff. Mm-hmm. In terms of the NBA, man, we're all, what people tend to forget is that we're all human, and these issues that happen is human rights issues. You know what I'm saying? And no one's going to have all the answers to solve this stuff. Especially the most egregious things, like what happened here recently. That's egregious. And we all know it's egregious. You know what I mean? But I feel as if, the guys want to play, let them play. Guys don't want to play, don't send them out there when their mindset is not set on something like that. You know what I mean? Because when I saw this thing in real time, I was frustrated. I had to sit down and not do work today. So I had to sit down and think about what I just saw and the series of things that I've seen. And people smarter than me tell me to be patient and try to, work the system so that things will get better. But I'm 47, and I've seen these things every year of my life. You know, I've seen this almost 50 years. These things don't get better by trying to massage it. These things here need some type of serious change. We have to stop what we're doing and go in a different direction. You know, just talking this thing through is not one of those things, man, because, you know, it's frustrating to me that a man got shot in his back 7 times in front of his kids. Some of us are so calloused now that we've seen these type of images for so long that it doesn't affect us anymore. That's not what we want. That's not a good thing. Being hard is not a good thing in these situations. We should be compassionate and thoughtful. When situations like this come about, it's not time to point fingers and things of that sort. It's time for us to come together. And I don't mean in no soft way. You don't have to, just because you come together don't mean you soft. Sometimes you have to take the real facts in real time and point out who is wrong and fix it. It's like a flat tire on your car. You don't just, because you get a flat tire, you don't keep driving on it, or you don't sell the car. You fix it. And that's where we are. We have too many of these things happening in sequence for us to continue to be quiet. We have to fix these things, man. You know, and the thing that Doc Rivers said touched me, man, in a way that makes, you know, this guy, I don't know Doc Rivers, he don't know me. But when he said, how do you continue to love a country that does not love you, it touched me. I'm a veteran. I'm a U.S. veteran. I've been to foreign lands and fought for this country. I've been in places that had rocks thrown at me because I had the United States Army uniform on. You know what I mean? I've been in all these places where people hate the United States and all these different things. You know what I mean? So I put my life on the line, you know, for this country, and then to come back and hear all these sequence of things that happen to us, and we put our lives on the line to help the country be better, and the country don't love us back. And it just puts me back to when Evergreen G. Pops was on, about how these cats just did him any kind of way because they could get away with it. It's time out for that shit, man. I mean, it's 2020. We're raising a whole new generation. Some of us have sons in their 20s. And unfortunately, they're going to live their whole life looking at how their brothers and uncles and sons and pops and everybody get mishandled by a few rogue people. Man, it's time out for this shit, man. It's just too much. You know, a man got shot in front of his kids in a familiar place, and there were witnesses. People will never forget that event. You know, it's one of those, and it affects everybody. It affects those guys that play basketball. Just because you're a pro athlete doesn't mean that you're not human. You know, I mean, either we can, if they want to play, go ahead and play if it helps them ease their mind. But if they're in a place like me and they're frustrated and they're tired of seeing these same things happen over and over and over again, I don't mind if they say, listen, I need to get my thoughts together.
Mm-hmm. So Freeze,
what's the solution? Sorry.
Yeah, Freeze, let me ask you, what do you think the next step with the players? Because I'm one who, you know, I believe, you know, most players in sports, you know, most of them, you know, didn't have a silver spoon in their mouth. Right. And they had to come up from, a lot of them had to come up from either, you know, living in poverty, just being poor. I don't want to say just being poor, but living in poverty, being poor, being in a middle class household, and witnessing a lot of things that we all still witness. And some of them, listen, I mean, you've seen it from that Milwaukee Bucks players, you know, the guy who played for the Bucks a few years back, right, who had an issue with the police. You know, these guys come from these communities. I am one that tends to believe that they care and would like to see, maybe not all of them, some of them probably don't care, but that they care and would like to see their communities be safe.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, look, Kyrie Irving, he was fighting against it because he did not want to, he didn't want to take any attention away from what was happening. You know what I mean? And I don't fault him for that. I actually agreed with him. Some players thought differently. Something happens. I mean, you're allowed to change your mind and change course and say, you know what? Maybe I was wrong.
Right.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe, they may not come out and say it publicly, but, they may say to themselves, you know what? Kyrie was right. Maybe they call him up and say, yo, my bad. I should have been with you. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? They have the right to change their mind and say, you know what? We need another course of action.
Right.
And so, this is where they are now. I don't know what's next? What do they do? So let's say that the season does end. It sounds like they're going to continue to have these conversations tomorrow, because it was only the Lakers and the Clippers that wanted to cancel the remainder of the season. What do you think they do, Freezy? Where should they go from here? Because you can't just boycott and then not have... Usually when you boycott, you have demands of the person you're boycotting, right? You know what I'm saying? So if you work at a certain place and you're like, I'm going to boycott this place, and then you have demands of the employer or something like that.
Right.
I don't know, I don't know, like, do they have demands of the NBA say, yo, listen, we need you to do this? Or, but what can the NBA really do? There's not much that the NBA can really do. So where do they go? Where do they proceed? They boycott it.
The NBA has met them. The NBA has more than met them halfway. In my opinion.
I'm not saying that the NBA hasn't, worked with them. What I'm saying is they're boycotting, right? They're boycotting, and then the NBA jumps with them and says, okay, we're going to cancel the games. But who are they boycotting to? You get what I'm saying? Because usually, the NBA is on board with them, right? The NBA is on board with them, right? So usually you boycott someone who is opposing you,
right? Or you strike, right?
Right, or strike or something like that, right? So basically, what I'm saying is like, what is the result of it?
You can get the owners, if these people really care, so it can't be this year because they're losing money anyway, right? You have to wait till next year. If you really wanted to push something, right? Because again, there's the players, the NBA PA, and then there are the owners. These owners have these big stadiums that they have to break even at the very least, right? They have to make money, right? And these owners have they have multiple enterprises and businesses that have influences in whatever cities that they're in, for the most part, usually. Right. So if that's the case, if the players really want to stick it to them, they can say, hey, we don't even mind the CBA being destroyed or whatever. We'll forego our money. We'll forego our endorsements. And we know that, and we'll get it so that other college players that come in, whatever, blah, blah, we'll basically destroy the NBA until you use your political pull, your financial pull in these places to base, because all it is money in politics. Get these politicians to create. And I'm not talking about pledge. I'm not talking about, hey, in 5 years' time, bro, have this problem. I'm talking about this new policy is in place for new cops. And if it doesn't happen, so-and-so happens. You make it a law where if so many police brutality cases occur of unarmed people or unarmed black men happen in this, what's the name? Our tax revenues go down by so much, as whatever. So the owners could do. They say to players, you do this with the owners. The owners go to the politicians and say, all right, we have this so and so. Does it happen? We don't have to pay this much for this tax, and we'll whatever it is. That's how you use it. I'm not saying it's simple in terms of the semantics or whatever the laws exactly are, but you can use money. Like they have lobbyists in Washington. If they could do that in Washington, you could do the same thing in your local municipality, your local state, whatever it is. And these owners just have to have the impetus, and the impetus is money. So again, you can't do it now because you're in a money-losing year, so you're losing money regardless. Like, these games no one gives a damn. You go into next year where everything is better, where they actually, one thing is that they need people to be in these stadiums because that's how they generate the revenues, right? People be in the stadiums, buying the concessions, blah, blah, blah. That's how they generate some of the most money. And then, of course, the TV contracts. But if no one's there, TV contracts and stuff for blah, blah. So that's how you stick it to these owners. But let's see if these players have the cojones. And again, people wanted to kill Kyrie Irving for saying, I want to have my own league.
The owners aren't the enemy. The owners.
No. I didn't say the enemy. No. But the owners. I didn't say the owners are the enemy. But the owners.
The players, and
the owners have the most leverage. The owners have the most leverage because they have stadiums.
You said stick it to the owners. You said
no. But let's But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you don't want to.
The owners have to be incentivized to take a political action in the state because they have the most leverage, right? But the leverage they have with the state. It connects. It funnels down to the individual players.
The owners have the most money, and it's a player-driven league. You can't say both.
I don't know why. I didn't say all that. I just said that the owners have the most money and the leverage, right? The owners have the most money and leverage, and they need you, Big Freezy, 6'8", whatever, power 4, blah, 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 to play in the NBA. You as an NBA person can withhold your labor, which then destroys their product, and they'll be more incentivized to go up and say, hey, yo, we need this thing changed so I could go back to making money. And the owners, the players will say, well, blah, blah. Okay, what do we need to change? Change this, blah, 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 and let's make these players happy. Let's make them satisfied. Because these owners don't give a damn if so-and-so is dying. They just care that their money's intact. And you as a person or a player, whatever, you probably don't care about their money being so-called as long as you're getting paid. But if you care about these social issues, that's how you enact change. You affect their pockets. It's either money or violence. And we're not shooting or killing anybody. I'm not advocating for that. So you hurt them in their pockets. I didn't say the owners are the enemies, but they're the biggest threat to the so-called enemy, which is the system.
But we don't want to hurt people in their pockets, though, man. Because
wait. Why don't we want to hurt people in their pockets?
So let's just say, for example, though, the owners legitimately do everything within their power. Nothing changes. What do the players do? Because the reason why I asked that is because while the owners, I agree, billionaires have influence in their state, guaranteed, major influence in their state, they still have, it still is out of their control. Right? Most of the time when a player, or not a player, but someone boycotts, right? I'm boycotting my job because I think we need to have sandwiches for lunch. Well, you know what? That employer has the power to give those sandwiches if they want to, right? That employer has the power to do that. In this situation here, the owners don't really have the power to do anything. They can try to use their influence, but they don't have the power to really make the change happen, or not the change, but to change the law. You said that's not true.
That's not necessarily true, sir.
Bro, they cannot. So you're telling me that the owners can change the law?
I did not say that. You guys don't listen to me. I said they have leverage. No, they have leverage.
No. I literally just said the owners. It is out of their control. They do not have the power to make the change themselves. And you said that's not true.
I said that's not necessarily true. They can look. You can leverage your money, bro.
And so I asked you the question. I asked the question. Let's just say, hypothetically, the owners legitimately did every single thing that they could to leverage their power, and it did not change the laws. Then what?
Right, exactly, right.
Do you find another way?
No, but because the reason why I'm saying that is because I know the reason why I'm saying that is because it is out of the owner's control. See, if I'm boycotting my employer because I want sandwiches for lunch and they say we're not gonna give it, then I can say, oh well, I'm not gonna work.
You know what we do
because it's their power.
This what we do with black. This is what I like about black people. Hold on. This is what we do with black people that I despise, right? Whenever there comes a situation where we could do something, but it's going to take hard work or it's going to take whatever. We always come up with, well, if this doesn't work, what happens then? Well, how about we just effing try it?
But what I'm saying, because I think that you bring it to the people who have the power. You are assuming that they have certain amount of power in their local legislation. Some people may. How do you know? Are you there in the office with them? No. Are you there with them?
You want me to answer a question, Sim?
Yes.
If you are a politician, if you're a business, and I said not all of them. I said this, but there's some of these owners have multiple major businesses in really small states and municipalities. And they have not leveraged a fifth of their power to enact changes that will favor some of these players, or some of these players would say, blah, blah, we will like, or whatever. They have not. And I'm not saying, look, a guy like James Dolan can't affect all of New York City, even though New York City's lost about $300 billion. Hold on, but I'm not saying all of them. But hold up. Again, when you're talking about laws in every state, hold on. We're talking about laws in every state. What was the law that was changed that was just changed by because the NBA was threatening a boycott in North Carolina, the transgender bill? They changed that. The NBA helped change that by saying,
hold up. Yeah, they helped. But you just literally said. No. I'm not changing anything because you just literally said not all of them will have the power.
Right.
What I'm asking you is if they legitimately, because I'm not saying take the work away from anybody.
You're not going to get. Hold up, Sim. You're not. What you're trying to do is like, all right, if we don't get laws changing everywhere, it's like. There are certain states where it can happen. One small change here, one small change here. Yes, let's try to impact. If you can do it in one small state, do it. If you can do another small state, do it. But why is that? Oh, we have to get all 50 states and they all have to do it the same. It may not happen. But if you can get
that's happening without the NBA. That's happening right now without the NBA.
All right, but we're talking about players using their platform, which is them playing in the NBA, to enact change. I'm not talking about them. I didn't say they should never go to the local legislator and use their own money, whatever. I'm not talking about stuff they could do by themselves without being a so-called, directly being a quote-unquote NBA player. We're talking about NBA players using their leverage, which is them playing a game, to enact change. And that's all I said. But what we
No.
I did. Who else are we talking about?
Bro, what I'm saying to you. No, what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
The players going to the owners to hold on. I'm saying to use their talent, their labor to say, hey, owners, we need you to do this and blah blah blah. Of course, not every owner is going to be able to do it. Not every owner may listen. But again, there may be owners that may comply and say, hey, this is a good idea. I'm down for it. And that owner may influence other owners to do it. And think about this. You have a team. Okay, put it like this. This is how it could work. You have an owner who enacts it. Just say James Dolan. Just an extreme, right? Because when we talk about players who want to come to the Knicks, whatever, right? Or forget even the Knicks.
Just say whoever. It don't matter.
Say a small team, Denver, right? Or whatever. And that owner is doing that stuff, right? That place may be that place is going to be, players want to go there because that owner truly cares about us. Now you're going to have other owners being like, oh, crap, we are not New York, we're not LA or whatever. We're not Golden State. We cannot attract free agents like that. So even though I don't give a damn about these issues, if I'm going to try to attract players, maybe I do have some political pull and some leverage with my business and other business partners to say, hey, change this law, change this one small law, change this, what's the name? Let's change this, let's change that. Hey, players, what do you want me to change that you think might be reasonable for me to change? And now it's like, instead of Denver, now I want to go to Tennessee or any other small market club. That's how you use your leverage. It's all about money. These people don't care about morals because this stuff has been happening for years. But as a player, you might be able to do. But see, what you're doing and what many black people do, when we think about ideas to make change, right? We always have, this can't work, this can't work, this can't work, this can't work, this can't work.
I didn't say it can't work. I asked the question. Time out. No. I said nothing about it can't work.
If we get all this, what happens if it doesn't work?
What exactly? That said, I asked the question because you've got to have an end plan, right? You've got to have an end plan, and you've got to have a way to say, well, if this doesn't work, then we go this way, then we go that way, then we go that way. That's why I asked you what happens if it doesn't work, because they do not have the power. No, hold up. They do not have the power. They may have influence, but they do not have the final say over the laws. I don't care what anyone says.
I never said they
don't have the final say. So you're asking them.
I never said they did.
Hold up, listen. You're asking them and you're holding them accountable for something they do not have the power to do. If someone holds me accountable for something that I do not have the power to do, I'm going to say, you holding me accountable? I may be on your side. Let's figure out how we can make this happen together, but don't hold me accountable for something that I do not have the power to enact. I may have influence. I may be able to go talk to the governor.
Oh, okay.
I may be able to say to the governor, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, and I'll give you this.
Okay.
And the governor may say, hell no.
Hey, can I go ahead and
No, I'm not even saying that's not a reality. I'm not even
like
against what
20
you're
minutes
saying.
ago. I just didn't get the chance to tell you what my answer was.
Go ahead, please.
I'm going to just go ahead and just break down what I think is the answer. The answer to all of this is stop playing basketball right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use these people with celebrity status and platforms to educate people in the communities. And the reason why I say that is because we generally take messages with a grain of salt when it comes from somebody that we know. But when the message comes from somebody with some type of stature or status, the message is delivered differently. I mean, so with that said, I would say stop playing basketball right now, get these stars out into the community and talk to these people that they have problems with. Confront them face to face and say, hey, listen, first of all, put these stars and celebrities in a safe environment where they can just go and talk to, say, police unions. Like, hey, listen, I understand you have a livelihood to protect, but we also need to protect our people. Y'all look bad in the media, and y'all are probably goody, right? And so we understand that we may have a difference of opinion, and it happens. You know, for instance, last night my wife wanted pork chops, I wanted chicken. It happens. You know what I'm saying?
What?
I mean, it happens. So when you have like the police unions and these people that are dug in on one side, you know, looking to protect their livelihood, you know, having these things in place that adversely affects others, then we need to have this dialogue. And so that's one portion of it. The other thing I want to address about the owners is this. You don't have 30 monopoly guy money bags. So these franchises are owned by majority and minority owners, right? There's just not one person that owns every, you know what I'm saying, just one team or so. So all of these people have different levels of influences and resources. So what you do is go to these people like a James Dolan who happens to own a cable company. You can say, James Dolan, listen, once or say 12 times every 24 hours, I want you to run a 15-second ad that looks to abolish racism. Some kind of ad, just put something together. Like, hey, James Dolan, can 12, 15-minute segments, would that be a detriment to you financially? Is it worth saving your franchise and your league? Just a commercial. Maybe you run some Knicks on it. Maybe it's NBA players saying how they stick together against racism of such. Or say go to Steve Ballmer and say, hey, man, listen, I know you own this big company, whatever. Can we run stuff through your, computer stuff to spread this message of love? You know what I'm saying? So instead of forcing an owner to spend his money or take his time away from his business, other businesses, to say go to Capitol Hill, just say, hey man, listen, can we use your resources in order to spread this message? Can we use Doc Rivers, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard to go talk to the LAPD about how we feel like, this thing is going in a bad way. And then you talk to these players like, hey man, listen, I know y'all are frustrated. And being frustrated in a vacuum is a lonely place. Nobody wants to be frustrated and sad in a vacuum. All you get is this negative stuff and no outlet to get anything positive going. can we just go ahead and start talking to, spreading this stuff out in the community that way, right? And also, with that said, have a promise that you'll start the season at a certain day, right? And maybe you start giving free tickets away or something like that. If we get to the point where the corona, and I know I'm not supposed to say it on YouTube, but the virus that is impacting our society is moving at the same line, on the same timeline as this violence and stuff in the community. We should also look to offer up help for that also. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because right now, basketball is not the most important thing.
What if they don't agree with that? What if they, like you just said with my thing, right? Because there's even less incentive. If I go to James Dolan and say, hey, blah, blah, he can just say, nah, right?
Right. So
what if you go to James Dolan, he's like, nah, I don't want to do it.
So, but you ask.
But listen, Freezy, I think you can go deeper than that, right? I think one, let's just assume, everything with COVID-19 is good and you're able to get fans in the stands, right? You stop those games. Let's say they stop those games. It doesn't hurt the players. It definitely doesn't hurt the owners. These guys are billionaires. They can lose these teams and they're going to be good, right? It's not going to hurt the owners, in my opinion. You know who it does hurt? It hurts those black and brown people that they have working the concession stands, that they have working at every restaurant that's in the damn arena. All the black people that they have as security guards, sweeping the floors, right? Cleaning the bathrooms, parking attendants, right?
Yeah.
Selling the tickets. Okay. These, to me, those are the people that's going to be hurt more. The billionaire is not going to be hurt. All right. Yeah, they may be like, damn, I lost the team. I don't have this coming in anymore, and I might lose this whole company. But they're still going to eat. You can guarantee it because they got billions.
But that's not true with all of them. Like, for instance, even though it's just football, what's this guy's name? The guy who runs the Raiders. Why I can't remember his name. He used to have the father. He has an ugly red hair.
Davis.
Thank you, Davis. His only business is the Raiders. So, and like you just said that a lot of these guys don't have multiple business, blah, blah. So there are owners who do depend on the contracts and the businesses that are connected to their basketball.
I agree.
If that's the case,
let me finish saying what I'm saying. And I guarantee you, those owners will still be eating. Those owners are not making $30,000 a year. They're not making $50,000 a year.
No, but they need their business to run.
Hold up, they're not making $100,000 a year. I guarantee you, they have money stacked away where if they lost everything, they will be able to take care of themselves. Okay. Maybe not Al Davis, but I bet you in the NBA they do. All right. Okay. Okay.
I don't know who the top billionaires are, but
there may be a few, but I guarantee you, most of them, 95% of them will be able to eat. But I guarantee you, those 95% will be able to eat. 100% of those people that are not working are going to struggle because they're not making that much money. They're not making that much money at all. They may be able to go find jobs elsewhere. A lot of them are going to struggle because they're not making that much money.
And you're also assuming
but for the record,
let me finish.
There will be boycotts of their other businesses as well too. And if those guys sat there and they didn't want to run their businesses, knowing that, hey, I could have just done this and could have done this to help out.
So what I'm saying, Feezy, what I think that they could do. Right, you get with the NBA Players Association. Okay, the NBA Players Association, they say, okay, listen, we're going to develop, maybe they social issues faction, committees, different committees or whatever it is. Okay, and the players demand from their owners, we need you to put this money into these committees because we are going to hire whoever. These people, that people that are going to fight for our causes, for our people in our communities. We're going to partner with different associations that are fighting for these same causes. We'll figure out where we fit in. And when we need you owners to come in and help stress some of your influence in this city or that city. We need you to come in. Right? Get this plan.
What about the league? What about the league? What about the NBA?
Well, the owners make up the NBA, right?
No, I'm talking about the league office. I'm not talking about the 30.
But that's what I mean. You have the NBA Players Association, and then you have the I think the NBA owners make up the league. Like, they make up the league. They make up the NBA, and then you have the commissioner who runs that, right? And then, so I think you do it with the NBA Players Association, and then you strike that deal with the NBA. And you have such and such, whatever that is agreed to in this deal, the same way that they do the CBA. And now you have this plan that they sign to say, yes, I'm signing this contract to say, this is what I commit the NBA. This is what I commit my team to do. We commit this amount of money every year, whatever it is. And then you have this committee that maybe the NBA and the NBA Players Association develop that works on these issues. You know what I'm saying? And says, and not because you don't want to overlap what's already out there, but works on how this is what the players, the NBA is going to do, to not just do commercials and go out and make some public appearances, but to really get involved, in the legislation and making this legislation happen.
But how do you get to the point of legislation without talking to the other side about exactly what's wrong? Because what can happen is this. So we'll use the Jacob shooting as an example, right? So the Kenosha Police Department can say, so what happened was, in an unfortunate event, we train these guys and they didn't adhere to their training, and so that put us in a situation. So now it's a situation where they don't want your help because they felt like somebody went rogue, right? And they're gonna handle it. But we know the entire thing smells of a rat because they had $2,500 worth of gear on and no GoPro on and no camera in their cars, right? So they're set up in a systemic thing of not wanting to have their police officers be held accountable via video and audio. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
And so how do you just do legislation without talking to them? Because there may be a reason behind the fact that they don't have those cameras. Right.
No, I think you do. I think you do talk to them. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I think, to hold, you're boycotting, you're not playing. And I think to hold your, the owners accountable, you strike this deal that would include exactly what you're talking about, right? But you strike a deal that's kind of like the salary, the collective bargaining agreement, right? You strike this kind of a deal, and every so often you may have to, go over it and make changes and update it and stuff like that. And Audi 1000, no, I'm not saying you're never going to play again until all social matters are taken care of. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you strike this deal, then you say, okay, we got this in place. This is the plan moving forward. We can play. And then, we try to work this plan, because is my personal opinion that not playing, you go into the season and assuming COVID is gone and this and that, not playing is going to hurt more people that look like me than look like those billionaires.
But for the record, the owners like James Dolan still pay people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you talk about the ownership groups, you have a cat like James Dolan, who, and I'll use him because he's our guy. Well, not our guy, but our guy. So dude still pays people and they're not at work. And this is not, based on New York State unemployment distribution or federal government unemployment distribution. This is James Dolan cutting the check out of his own pocket. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, while he does these things, James Dolan would also, I'm assuming that you could go to James Dolan and say stuff like, run those ads on TV. But it's not like you don't have a network. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're not in a heavily populated city. It's not like you're not in the city where these events have happened frequently. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Where that hurts. And the players also, I say we use all the assets, the players and their influence, the NBA league office, the NBA Players Association, and the conglomerate of owners all coming together to hit these issues head on. I mean, the fact that they even put messages on their jersey lets everybody know that these guys are looking to work towards, resolving these issues.
Can I ask a question real quick? Why is it that, and I don't know any person in NBA, and I'm not trying to insult anybody in NBA who may be this, right? Adam Silver and NBA used their power to boycott playing in North Carolina if the transgender bill was not played. There are a bunch of places, like you just brought up Big Freezy about the police cameras, right? And there are places where their state legislature, whatever, doesn't mandate that, right? Why hasn't the NBA? Why haven't I heard the NBA using their political using that leverage to say we are not going to play a game in this state until there is a mandate saying that police cameras are put in?
Well, they could. They could.
But that's the thing about it. We do, when they look at black people in this country, they look at us as beggars. They look at us as crybabies. We do not have the financial wherewithal in terms of aggregating our money. I'm not saying rich. I'm saying that we do not spend money. We don't have a culture. So the transgender, as small and minute as the transgenders are in the U.S., they have a louder and more disciplined.
Okay, so you missed my point. You missed my point. I'm not arguing against your point. I'm not arguing against your point. No, you missed my point.
I'm not arguing against your point. All I was trying to say is that I was just bringing up about the camera thing.
So you missed my point. You just danced all around what I'm saying. They threatened to not bring the All-Star game to Charlotte, North Carolina, right? That means all of their stars to Charlotte for an All-Star game. That's why I keep harping on the players going out and doing something in the community, because the players have influence.
But hold up, that's not what I'm... Okay, my point was totally different from yours. So what I'm saying, it is slight connect, but I'm not saying to not go out and use your influence. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I am saying that, okay, if I go up to these people...
So they didn't say, we're going to not have Charlotte Hornets games if you don't change these bathrooms. That's not what they said. They didn't say, hey, if y'all don't change these bathroom laws, the Charlotte Hornets won't play here. Man, they wouldn't change
but I'm not saying that. You're speaking for me. I'm not saying that, Big Freezy. I'm saying, if that is the case, if this... the NBA is made up of probably, I'm making this up, probably 90% black people. I'm just thinking this, right?
Players.
Probably more than that. You're saying, you're going to sit here and tell me that there are certain states that you cannot say, hey, we will cut the number of games or whatever it may be, right? Why can't the NBA take a certain stance like that, right? I'm not saying don't play all, I don't know what it is. But if they could do it, and they did this on, I would say a whim, but this was done within that 1 year or whatever it was when they did that, right? We are not going to play any game. So there's issues that happen. Remember in Florida with Trayvon Martin, even though that wasn't police. There have been heinous situations that have been happening with black people. And I mean, it's not use Trayvon, but police, period. And I've yet to hear the NBA. Now, they have lawyers. They have people who are smarter than all of us combined who can come with stuff that could be effective. I have yet to hear the NBA come out and use that same leverage to say, hey, we will not play. Okay, put it like this, Freezy. The All-Star game is played in a different city every year. They can say, we will not play an All-Star game in any city or any city that does not have so and so and so. This just this one mandate. They can do it to any city. Every city that they choose, we will not play until you choose. You fix this.
Listen, that's a great idea. They can do that. But what I'm saying is, right? They, the players come up and they have this type of agreement with the NBA. It could be in there. Like kind of like the collective, like what I was saying before, it could be in there. Well, you know what? We're gonna say this too. This is gonna be part of this agreement that we have. Any city that doesn't have such and such and such and such laws, we'll never have an all-star game there. Or, it would be very hard to not play games there and move to another city. But they could say that, hey, this city doesn't have such as, or this state doesn't have such and such. Let's move the team to another state. You know what I'm saying?
And also, Sim, hold on.
But like things like that, I mean, but see, like things like that, I think could go into that type of agreement.
Hold up. Even before that, Sim, you forgot one thing the players have with these owners to push that, the CBA. Whenever the next CBA comes up, these guys have the bargaining chip. Now, put it like this. If the players really cared about this stuff, right, you could put something in the CBA that has that, right? Now, if the NBA comes back and says, well, we agree with everything else but this, right? Do you know the amount of social pressure that the NBA, and if it was like, obviously they can leak stuff. They'll say, hey, we wanted, everything was agreed on, but the NBA doesn't want to agree with what we just talked about with the All-Star game thing, right? Right. Now, the rest of when you talked about other people looking at owners and all that stuff, there could be say somebody owns like not say Starbucks, but whatever. Some other people might say, you know what? You don't want to do this for the NBA? You know how people love to throw racists and all that stuff around? Oh, you're racist? Okay, I'm not going to drink at Starbucks anymore. I'm not going to frequent this franchise or do this franchise. Plus, I'm not going to support the NBA, blah, blah, blah. Now the owner has to be like, all right. Now I'm losing a little bit too much money. Let's agree to this. Let's push this, whatever, blah, blah. We forget how infectious people or sentiments like that are in this time and day and era. I think that, not you guys, I think that certain people, we shortchange what these players could do. And I think sometimes when you go into an area where money can be, they can lose 50% of their money, whatever, but it's for a cause that's pushing it, you know what I mean? I just don't want to hear people like LeBron James compare himself to Muhammad Ali when he had to give up his career because by what he stood by. If you stand by these morals or whatever, and you want to do that, then there's certain things you have to do. If you don't want to do that, that's fair enough. You're an athlete, just play the game, whatever. But if you get into that political arena,
I agree with you. And listen, I think I really think that's a great idea. But the All-Star game is only played once per year. And in one city per year. So I think it would have to be something a little bit more like we won't play in this state, such and such like that. So I just think you take and the players come up with an agreement with, to have some kind of social, social justice committee. And you have an agreement that includes things like Guillermo was just saying. You don't play, we won't play the All-Star game in your state if you don't have these laws, or we won't do this in your state if you don't have these laws. And I think that would it cost a lot of money? It would cost money, but it could still be done. You know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be states that have those laws that's going to say, oh, yeah, come on and play here because we need you guys to come here because our little economy and our little city is not hitting. Yeah, because our little, is not hitting. So come on and bring it here. I think that
would accommodate. We'll accommodate. We'll accommodate.
Right.
That's all I was saying. You have a Bumble Milwaukee making that All-Star game look beautiful. Hey, you got to change that look.
Right.
And then think about that. That same Milwaukee might start getting big time players because look at the black kid who went to the HBCU this past year. He's like a top 10 prospect. Went to an HBCU. Maker. Thank you. Maker. Yeah. Right? And these young kids who are growing up who want to be socially active, I mean, obviously you get drafted to wherever you get drafted, but once you're a free agent, if you had it say that New York did this, right? And again, James Dolan, I mean, you might see ads, I might just try to kill him because if he starts doing that, but imagine a James Dolan changing that around when he's like, hey, I got the mayor to change this law and this law to change the head of the chokehold law and all that stuff, blah, blah. Just, I know the chokehold law was already changed in New York. But if they could get stuff like that, you know how many free agents who want to take that political stance? I'll be like, I'm going to go play for New York. Everything they're saying about James Dolan was wrong. And we get, again, it goes both ways. So these players, man, they as I'm not saying they could change it politically directly, like they're going to go and change laws, but use what you got. And they are the talent. We watch them. I don't watch James Dolan to play basketball. I don't even watch him when he's playing with a stupid instrument with the gym shots, whatever that stupid group is called.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully they strike some kind of, before they commit to playing, they strike some kind of, I don't want to say deal, but they have some kind of contractual agreement, with the NBA, the players, some kind of contractual agreement with the NBA to say, here's the plan, and this is what we are going to do. This is what the owners commit to doing contractually. So maybe you make it an addendum to the CBA. I don't know if they could do that right now, but maybe you make it an addendum to the CBA, because then that makes it, part of the whole contractual agreement.
But Sam, what do the players give? So the owners. No,
I mean it'll be part of it. So like the players would still be part of going out and doing stuff in the community, but it holds the owners accountable to saying, this is what we are going to do, because the players are probably going to do it. It holds the owners accountable to saying, we'll put our money where our mouth is. We're going to use our influence in these local communities. If this, all right. If this community doesn't have these laws, we'll move and we'll go to this community that does have it. You see what I'm saying? Like that. And you get that put in the CBA. You know what I mean? You get something like that put in the CBA. That could.
When is it up, Sim? When is the CBA up?
I'm not sure.
NBA, CBA.
I'm not sure. So I don't know if they can make addendums along the way. I'm thinking they must be able to, because they had to make an addendum with this whole COVID-19 thing, right?
I just saw an article. NBA, I posted NBA, PA extend deadline to terminate the CBA through October. So.
Right.
The original what? I thought the CBA was for a few more years. What the hell?
That's what I thought. But remember, there was something in there I forgot what the name of the clause was. We talked about it on the show, on one of these shows.
Like a force majeure, right?
A force majeure, exactly. Where the NBA could, they could cancel the CBA.
Okay. Oh, so here it is, Sim. The NBA and the NBPA have again agreed to push back the 60-day window that allows both sides the right to terminate or make changes to the current collective bargaining agreement. So
there you go. So anything that's right. Anything that they come up with, they need to say, we need to make these changes to the CBA to account for this. There you go. And so it can't just be some little, okay, we're gonna finish, we're gonna stop playing the rest of the NBA season and leave it there. I think there has to be some of those things put in place. Has to be in the CBA.
The point of the matter is, the players don't want to stop playing just to be lazy. They actually are motivated to be activists. It's the reason why people put names and on the back of their shirts, because they want to send these messages, and they have these private meetings amongst the teams to make sure that everybody has awareness. Like I give you an example. Like, some people come from a place where saying the N-word is nothing. Like the N-word is fly, whatever. And then they get around other people. They get around people of different races, and then they still say it, but then they get crumpled up in a ball when somebody of a different race says it, right? And then you have some.
I've been there though, brother. I've been there.
Saying the N-word.
I've been there. Look. When I was 16. I went from an all black neighborhood, and I lived with my father because, there was just some real serious issues happening with me and my mom. Part of it is something I told you guys earlier, right? Just real bad. So I had to go, and I went to this school, man. It was all white, and but I was straight from the block, so it didn't matter who it was. It was a Martian. I was like, nigga, you crazy. You know what I'm saying? And people were looking at me like, oh my God, did he just say that? Like, they didn't know what I was talking about. Right? And man, this one kid, we was in the locker room, and he's like, he was talking about the Giants. He was like, them niggas, da-da-da. And when I seen him, like, I was about to fight him in the locker room. My friend, another black dude, he was like, no, chill, boom, boom, boom. Man, I seen him the next day in the hallway. something just triggered me, and I grabbed him and slammed him against the wall, and I just kept slamming him against the wall. I was tripping. I was tripping on him, man. Like, I just lost it. But I feel you. It didn't stop me. I still said it, but you know.
But you know, the thing is, like, with these NBA locker rooms, you know what I'm saying, can't say certain stuff. Like okay,
Larry,
so I say white boy a lot, right? I say white boy, and I promise you, I only said it like 700 times this week. I'm trying not to hit 1,000, right? but the thing is I work around and am friends with a lot of white guys. So when I say white boy and white girl or whatever, it's like, they're like, yo, why you always say that? Why don't you just say that girl or that guy? And I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, my point is like, NBA teams have these conversations amongst each other, you know what I'm saying, about these cultural things in order to have people understand each other's culture and be respectful of it, right? And so they do this on their own. They have team officials and all that stuff. So it's part of them wanting to be active and kind of mend some of these places that have holes in it between cultures, right? Like some people that wear Blue Lives Matter t-shirts around me, right? I have friends that are police officers, but I get offended by it every time I see it because, you know, I often see, you know, these, like this thing that happened, you know, here recently from Jacob Blake or whatever. And so it offends me. Not that all cops are bad. It's just that one thing bothers me, right? And so people talk to me about it like, hey, man, you know, it's really not saying that police officers are better than, you know, the public. It's just saying that we don't want to have our sons or daughters murdered while they're at work. And so I'm like, well, I would really like to go get a loaf of bread and not have my life threatened. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it's a thing with the NBA teams. They want to be active. I think if you quit basketball right now with the promise that you'll start the season on time in October and dedicate this amount of time here to just being active and doing stuff, I think it will help stem this tide of the stuff that's happening. Because I think what has happened. And this relates to everybody of every age. What happens is sometimes people of our race, once we reach celebrity status, we feel like we're exempt to stuff that happens in our hood. Like we leave the hood, like for instance, I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey, on the Hill. It's like one of the roughest places in the country, right? The roughest places in the country. But, you know, I'm down here in South Carolina riding on my lawnmower listening to Car 85. You know what I'm saying? And so I
just have to name Nas, right?
right. So, well, you know Nas. And I'm getting my tattoo tomorrow, by the way. Anyway.
You getting a Nas tattoo?
Right.
You say you getting a Nas tattoo?
It wasn't that good.
Freezy, did you say you getting a Nas tattoo?
Oh, yo, I don't know.
Did you say you get a Nas tattoo?
Wow, even Sim,
bro. You can't do
even
that.
Sim is
I
looking
love
at you
Nas.
like, yo,
I would never get a tattoo of another man on me.
Who's that a tattoo of?
Maybe my grandson.
Oh my God.
No, who's that a tattoo? Was that a tattoo of another rapper? Or
I'm getting no. But my point though is I come from, like what Sim said, I come from a place that's super duper rough, and it was a struggle to survive, and everybody of every age, you know, it was a struggle, you know what I'm saying? And so you kind of get away from that, and sometimes you think, like, man, I'm glad I made it out of that place. But at the same time, there are other people still there that need us to reach back to them and help them, man. Because it's
no doubt. And I think that the players do want to do that. I just think that they've got to put it into that collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, to hold the owners accountable. The players are going to do things to hold the owners accountable for some things that they can do.
Gregory Castillo made a good point on that. He just said he brought up a good conundrum, I guess, or whatever. He basically said owners are going to argue that they need a bigger split of the profits to accommodate them for the massive losses and the lower contracts, right? Because obviously the ratings have been down. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why they kind of had this bubble to be like, hey, we don't want to go back to the drawing table, blah, blah. And so if they go back to the drawing table and these players come and say, hey, we demand this and that, do you think these players would take lesser contracts to have that done? Because it's already justified that they're going to take lower anyway.
Right. So I don't know if, like, can you make, okay, so you know, I work with a lot of like boards, right? And you have bylaws, and you can make addendums to the bylaws. You can make additions without taking everything else out. You can make additions to the bylaws without doing that. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure though that once you open the conversation about the CBA, yes, those owners are going to be like, okay, let's open it all the way up. You can guarantee that, right? Let's open it all the way up and have this conversation. So then, you know, I don't know. The players might have to look at that and say, but then they got to, you know, they'd have to say, okay, listen, yep, I'll give back $1 million a year as long as it goes towards this or something. I don't know. I don't know if they will. That's a good
Michael
question.
Conley got $150 for 5 years. It's going to be more than $1 million.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know, still.
I know, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Or some kind of percentage, right? Some kind of percentage, something.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
hey,
we'll see, man. But you know, a lesson for all you guys. We can sit here and have a huge argument and find a way we came out with a solution. That's how it works.
And it all came from me, guys. So just listen to me. Always make sure. And by the way, hopefully no one takes it. It's all love. It's all love. So don't take it as whatever. It's all love.
Saying we took pieces of what everyone was saying, brought it together, and came out with a solution.